What's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Christian Show. My name is Ben Pitch, and I'm your host. And we're back with another banger in the Real Christian Show. I'm excited because we got current events that we're going to be talking about today. Things that's what's happening with the world and whatnot. So I'm really excited, and that's one of the formats of the show, guys. We talk about politics, educate you on what's going on. Second thing that we do is kind of like a solo podcast, a solo show. Talk about entrepreneurship, business, social media, just different resources and skills to help you guys get better. And then the third one, we interview cool people. We've been doing that one. We did another one this week, so it's been really good. People that I truly believe they're real Christians. They're living their life by great standards, and they're not perfect at all, but, their story can also inspire you guys to get better. And the last thing that we do is Q&As. You can submit your questions directly to my personal Instagram, BenjaPB201. Don't submit any weird stuff. Just kidding. I'll still respond and we can talk about it in the show. And as always, guys, remember, word of mouth. If you found value in this show today, if it made you laugh, if it made you think, if it gave you some new perspective and things that you didn't consider before, share with your friends. We grow the show by word of mouth. I truly believe is the most powerful way of marketing. And I'm a value-driven guy. Now, if we suck, don't share. I'm cool with it. But anyway, guys, we got Phil Lyman in the show again today. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, Ben. Thanks for having me on. It's always good to talk to you.
The other episode did pretty good. A lot of people were commenting on it.
Oh, really?
On you, yeah. You know the funny thing? It's the one that's been doing the best, the most.
Well, it's like therapy for me to talk to you, so I should be paying you for this time.
You're good, man. It's good because, I think people are tuning in to watch this segment when it comes to not just politics in general, but current events and kind of like the updates of what's happening with the world and society, government. It's a great way to educate people. And, you have a lot of expertise, you have a lot of experience, and I think your perspective is pretty unique because you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to policy as well.
Yeah, it's
So,
really interesting. The one thing that I found is people are tired of being lied to,
yeah.
and they felt that they were being lied to for a long time. But now with with Doge doing what they're doing, Trump, it's a drop in the bucket. But people are getting that confirmation. It's like, I knew it. I knew I was being ripped off. It doesn't make sense that the United States is, $36 trillion in debt. It just doesn't make sense. All of these things, and it's affecting people's lives, and they can see that it's dire, but they just keep electing the same people, and those people keep doing the same things. And yeah, people are getting. I think we're at a point people are tired of that.
Well, I think also people are tired of their money being spent in dumb stuff. I think that's one of the biggest
It's
ones.
like it's almost like monopoly money anymore. Money has lost its meaning. I mean, when you're a kid, you've got your money, you save it up, you're going to buy something. Now it's like by the time you save up money, if it's for a car or something, the car's changed value, and it's all just credit and credit cards and online shopping. It's like we live in a virtual world, and money feels really virtual.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So anyway, I have a lot of topics I want to discuss. A lot of things been happening since last time we spoke. So I'll try to cover almost every. I mean, if we cannot go through everything, it's completely fine. But at least we can get some good insights on all these things. And all right, first things first. Did you see the new announcement from Trump that he announced that Boeing is doing a F-45, F-47,
Sorry, that's what's happening.
the F-47, the plane?
Oh, I mean, I saw a blip about it, but I didn't dig into that. I should have.
Well, what's your? I mean, because it just matches. He's the 47th president, and they just
Yeah, isn't
announced
that
a
awesome?
new F-47, which is kind of cool. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny. I don't know if you did some research on it or what were
I
your
didn't.
thoughts on it.
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm kind of libertarian at heart, but I'm also for a strong U.S. military, like a really powerful military for the U.S. So, um, and Trump is too. I like that about him.
Yeah, what's funny is a lot of people on social media and they're like, yeah, but this government said that they were not going to go into wars and stuff, and he's announcing the F-47. JD went to go see the Marines and spend time with them, and he's like, hey, we're going to provide you with the best weaponry. You're going to be the best military in case we go to war. And he's like, it's not that we're going to war, but if you don't want to go to war, you got to be the strongest one. And
Exactly.
that's why a lot of people don't get it.
That is exactly right. Yeah, you can spend money on a strong military, and it's a lot less expensive than going to war and fighting, especially if you're
Yeah,
fighting with with a weak military. And the United States has got to be strong, and not because we want to overpower anybody, but because we are the uh, we're the country historically that has kind of maintained peace. And it's sad when you see the United States become the aggressor, because we lose credibility in the world. And I think we're seeing that now with Ukraine and Russia, and the deals that were made there. People are, well, I mean, really for the last 50 years, you have to go back and say, United States doesn't hold the moral high ground on our military conflicts. And we should. And Trump is all about that. And I love it. And JD Vance even more so.
He's a dog. I love that
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Did you watch the full interview with Zelensky, JD, and Trump?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you gotta go on YouTube and watch the full thing. It's pretty good. I think it's the last 3 minutes that it goes like off, and it's funny because the media just they were like, "Oh, Trump this, JD this," and like they're heating exchange, and I'm like, you gotta watch the full thing.
You got to watch that. Yeah.
You gotta watch the full thing so to give you context, because that's what the media they always do. They take like a short form thing and then they explode it and they make it seem like so bad for these guys.
You know,
But
I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, like Zelensky. I don't know what first of all, I don't know the truth in Ukraine. I only know what I read, which is a lot. And I read a lot and I try to figure it out. But there's no question, he was a punk.
dude, I I
Like,
I
wow.
I freaking love it. Like what
Yeah.
happened.
Hmm.
First of all, I really like JD. I really like that dude.
Yeah, me too.
And second of all, the way that the unity that Trump and JD showed of, hey dude, there's a new boss, like there's a new sheriff in town. You're not just gonna come to the U.S. and every time you come, you're gonna smile and beg for money and then walk away with billions of dollars. That he basically did that every single time that he came to see Biden and Kamala. And it's funny because this is an administration with common sense. JD was just saying, dude, just be grateful. Like that's it. We're giving you money. We want to stop the war. We're the ones that we provided all these different things, and you're acting like a jerk.
Yeah.
And he said it in public, which I think was phenomenal, because somebody put this dude in his place finally. You know?
It was really an interesting exchange. And like you say, I love the unity with Trump and JD Vance. We haven't seen that. Usually the
No,
vice president's
no.
just kind of out of the scene, and you get the impression. I mean, you felt that when he chose JD Vance, he was criticized. It's like, oh well, he's too much like Trump. He should have had somebody, a woman or somebody that's a little bit more moderate. And it's like, no, it's like you said, there's a new sheriff in town, and somehow it seemed like Zelensky didn't get the memo. It's like you don't walk into Trump's office and
And disrespect him.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
he's like, well, I've got friends. Kamala Harris is my friend. Biden's are my friend, so I'm going to talk to you however I want. It's like, yeah, the election, has some effect on all this, and he didn't
Yeah.
seem to understand
Yeah. And
that.
the cool thing is that Trump is a negotiator. He makes deals. And that's something that me personally I've been able to learn a lot. And a lot of people they criticize it for him, like, yeah, but what he's doing, he's too aggressive. I'm like, guys, his expertise, the number one thing that he knows how to do very well is make a deal happen. And when they're attacking him, like, yeah, but he's not condemning Russia, he should be in you. I'm like, dude, he's settling the war. You gotta have a good relationship with both sides. You cannot call somebody assassin or dictator and that he should be killed and be on the other freaking side with Zelensky and then call the other dude and be like, hey, dude, you want to make it? You got to have a good relationship with both. And that's exactly what he's been doing. But one of the amazing things that I've learned when making a great deal is that you have to be okay walking away from the deal. And when Trump was like, you know what? If you don't want this, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to help you. And good luck, because if the U.S. is gone, you're screwed. And good luck on you.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of leverage, but I really like the way he negotiates. I don't know if you have anything to say about how he communicates and all this stuff and everything.
Well, I mean, I'm having all these thoughts as you're talking, because in 1987 I was just about to graduate from the accounting program at BYU. Uh, and I bought this book called Art of the Deal because I liked Donald Trump. I liked him then. He was in the news. He was in Forbes magazine. He was, young, real
The
estate
art of the deal.
tycoon.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Art
yeah.
of the Deal.
It's funny because I think the moment he ran for office, everybody hated him.
Yeah.
But for years, he's been the most loved guy in the entire United States.
So anyway, I got that book in 1987 and I loved it and I read it then, you know. So Trump's been kind of an influence in my business on the business side. I love The Apprentice. I loved all that. I think it emboldened a lot of people. But like I say, he's such a negotiator. And then I did get a chance to meet Donald Trump when he came out here and reduced the Bears ears. Uh, and I had the thought, oh, I should take that book with me. But it was, you know, it's like on stage and stuff. And I didn't take it. I've always regretted because then I did shake his hand. He signed my tie. He signed my hat. I talked to him for a
Yeah.
minute. And it's like, dang, I wish I had his signature in that book. So I've got his book, and I've taken it everywhere that I think I might run into to Trump. And
I'll sign it for you.
okay, so yeah, yeah, I'm an admirer of deal makers. I'm an admirer of business people, and and Trump's a man of action. I mean, there's so much talk in politics, and so to get somebody who is actually, you know, a man of action is a really rare thing. It's exciting to me. And I wake up happy every day just wondering what's going to happen. Not that I agree with all of it necessarily, but it's not passive. It's not, you know, just nothing.
What's your take on, because you know that they kicked him out of the White House. The dude just left because Trump's like, "You're not gonna disrespect us in our place. Get out of here." And it's funny because they actually, I did a bunch of research, and the dinner that they had planned for Zelensky, the staff were eating it. So it's
Really?
kind of funny. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But then the week of, like the same, I think it was a couple days later, every single European leader is like giving him support and doing all this stuff, and then he goes to Europe and then taking pictures with everybody, and everybody wants to give him money. And this is kind of like my perspective from an outsider, because again, I'm not even American, but I love this country to death. So this is my perspective on kind of like what I saw there. Imagine you have your brother, and you're pretty close to your brother. He's your youngest brother. You always protect him. And then there's this dude that comes and disrespect you. And then you're like, dude, F off, like you're not gonna tolerate I'm not gonna tolerate this, and then you kick him out from whatever you guys are doing. And then your youngest brother goes behind your back and he's like, "Hey dude, forget Ben, he doesn't know what he's doing, but like you can always count on me, like it's okay. I'll take care of you. You can come back, like don't worry about what he did." So it's kind of like a stab in the back, but it invalidates everything you've been doing for your little brother too. That's the way I see a lot of these countries in Europe that the US has been protecting for years, for years, and for years. And there's a huge deficit when it comes even to trade as well. And that's the same thing that happened with Zelensky. Instead of these guys backing Trump and backing not just Trump, but the United States and what he's been doing with it, they went behind his back and kind of like did the exact opposite of what the US did on that day that they kicked Zelensky out of the White House. What's your take on it?
I love that. You probably saw JD Vance's speech to the United Nations as well.
I didn't. No.
I mean,
When
same
was that?
that same feeling, you know, because he got up and basically told the United Nations, you know, there's a new sheriff in town. We're not going to do these things. And then a bunch of people over the next few days from a bunch of these national leaders got up and dissed on JD Vance, and it's like, you know, we pay for the United Nations. We support almost all the financial support that comes to the United Nations is coming from the United States, and no respect, no love, no you know deference to what we wanted. So what you're saying is it's true. It is like the big brother who's getting disrespected by everybody. And not only is the little brother disrespecting him, he's not standing up
Yeah.
for him and these countries that we have helped so much. And I don't want to get into like this superiority thing. And I know that sometimes the United States is accused of having this superiority complex. It's not the case.
But
You
it's
know,
being the leader. Somebody
being
has
the
to take
leader,
the
and
role of
somebody's
being the main guy. That's
100%.
just that's how things are run.
Yeah. So that's go watch that speech to the UN because it's and you kind of had to follow that through there because the speeches the next few days, all these kind of self-righteous, you know, UN leaders were kind of dissing on JD Vance but I watch it, it's like you say it's beast mode. I mean, he's just like, holy cow, you go to this forum, first time you're speaking to the UN and you stand up and you give a speech that basically just puts everybody on notice that it's not going to be business as usual from the United States anymore.
And when was that, Phil? I didn't hear that. I didn't not watch it at all.
Um, yeah, it was like a month ago.
Was it in Munich?
Yeah, yeah,
Gee, that's trying to see
beautiful,
it.
beautiful stuff.
So it's like a 20-minute talk or something.
I think so. Yeah.
And was it to the UN?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
See if I can-
So I didn't hear it. No, I'll watch it for sure because I really like that dude. I think he's a great communicator as well, and he's young. He loves his country, and I mean, I always like to know what's going on. I friggin' forgot what I was gonna ask you. Same thing, going back to the
Sorry, I'm
European.
distracting you.
Um, that's why I have my notes because I gotta write all this stuff down. If not, I could completely forget. Anyway, Zelensky, the European Union. Uh, oh, because I know right now. The U.S. is not funding Ukraine in any sort of way, right? They stopped the whole thing.
I don't know.
I think that's what I read. After that conversation, they stopped doing everything.
I mean, Trump said something to the effect of, we're not going to leave. We're not going to like abandon our obligations to Ukraine or to the the region. But we don't support this war going on. Let's stop it. Let's stop the ending. The lives that are being lost. So I'd be surprised if they pulled out lock, stock, and barrel. But they may have. It's not like we didn't already give them $200 billion that they don't know quite where it went or what's going on.
Yeah. Uh, okay. This I have one of thoughts. I got. Sorry, I've been like writing them before I
Yeah.
forget. But,
I was just looking. Yeah, that Munich speech, J.D. Vance.
but it was the UN or it was just like a private event or because I think the Munich is not it doesn't look like to be the UN though.
Yeah, what is the background there? Yeah, you might be right. Trying to read the
I don't
background.
want to. I don't want to
Oh, the
sound cocky,
Munich
but I always tell
Security
people
Conference.
99% of the times I'm always
Yeah, I think yeah.
right.
Is that Munich? I think that's it.
Oh, was it?
The Munich Security Conference.
Anyway, I'll watch it and I'll give you my thoughts on it at some point. But I think yeah, I think there's a again what you were saying is not like a we're superior, we're better, but in some sort of way, like in every single organization or company or whatever successful business, you need the guy. There's always a guy. There's a reason why there's the CEO and a bunch of other people underneath. There's a reason why in religion organizations there's the dude that runs everything and then the organization underneath. There's always there has to be order, and that's what a lot of people don't understand and they're not used to it, but that's how things should be run if you want to be successful, and especially with countries. There has to be the dude that is respected, feared, and people just listen to what they're doing, to what the country is doing or saying, and I truly believe that the U.S. is setting the standard for it. And think about what happened in the last 4 years. What happens when the U.S. is not on point? What happens when we have weak leadership? What happens when we have a friggin' old guy that has Alzheimer, spends 80% of his time in office hanging out on the beach and getting a tan, and then you have this crazy woman that has no idea what she's doing, doesn't even know how to speak, and her life is friggin' annoying. And you have a lot of wars, you have a lot of disrespect, you have a lot of people taking advantage of you, you have a lot of corruption, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, and that's why the balance was so much in the other side
Hmm.
that we need these guys freaking telling people, hey, there's a new sheriff in town, even though he sounds very bold, but we need to bring back the pendulum to the other side of the equation. And
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's just
Well,
remarkable.
you saw so much of that from Biden and Harris and even Obama, kind of like, okay, we're going to now go and apologize to all the world for everything
Yeah,
that the United States has done, and it's a weak position. It's like pandering to these people, and they know it. They like manipulate the United States by saying, oh, you think you're so great, and instead of doing a Trump thing, say, well, we got a job to do, we're going to do it. They start apologizing for the United States being who we are, and yeah, it's really refreshing to see
let,
people that just want to get the job done, like say, man of action.
let me ask you this, Phil. I want to know how you feel about this stuff. Again, there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but I think this is a very not controversial, but something that it's been coming up the past couple of weeks. Pride Month. They want to change Pride Month to Veterans Month to how the military. I don't know how I feel about LGBTQ, brother, but I wanna hear your perspective on it. What do you think about it? And I want your raw opinion. If you want, I can go
Now, this
first,
is
so
just
then you
this is
don't
just
get any
Utah.
backlash. What?
This is just Utah, right? That's talking about that, or is that
No, like Trump, they announced it that they're gonna get rid of Pride Month and
international
replace
event?
it with Veterans Month.
I mean,
Yes or no?
I mean, Pride Month is the most ridiculous
Yeah,
thing
that's
I've
exactly what I think. Yeah.
ever heard of. And Morgan Freeman gave a speech once, or was in an interview, and the guy was saying, you don't agree with Black History Month, and Morgan Freeman said, how about we have Jewish History Month? The guy was Jewish. What if we have Jewish History Month? Would that make you happy? He's like, no. He's like, well, why do we have any month dedicated to like treating people with
Different.
common courtesy? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm all for treating people with common courtesy, but designating a month, it's like let's have Free Speech Month. It's like no, every month is Free Speech Month. Every month is express yourself the way you choose month. So I mean, Veterans
Well,
Month. I could totally get behind Veterans Month. I love Veterans Day, but again, it's like every day should be a total respect for our
yeah.
veterans. But yeah, definitely Pride Month was that was like a deal breaker for me. I hated it
So you don't
when
support gay
Utah
people and
designated
trans
Pride
people,
Month. It's like
Phil?
no way.
You don't support gay people and trans people? Is that what
I
you're saying?
I, I love. I've got friends and I love them, and yeah, I think I respect them more by not calling a month.
This is the reality. I think I have a lot of friends that are gay, and they're the coolest people ever.
Yeah,
And my issue is when a lot of these people, not even gay people, dude. I've asked a lot of gay dudes that they don't make who they sleep with their whole identity, which that's the people I freaking vibe with.
isn't that the truth?
The people that are the most annoying is the people that make who they sleep with and what they do like their whole identity, which they have an identity crisis. They have a mental issue, and that's not our fault. That's their deal. The problem is when this group and these individuals they start shoving down our throats their ideology and what they want to do and how they want to be treated and their mental health issues and that there's something wrong in their brains and we want them to accept them for who they are, which I'm like, dude, I don't really give a crap if you're white, yellow, purple, black, gay, straight, if you like trees or whatever. Do whatever you want to do. And that's the beauty of this country. You can do whatever the heck you want to do. But the moment you start pushing that into other people and start yelling and start making people feel uncomfortable, and then you want to go after kids and cutting kids' dicks and put freaking other stuff and putting dicks into freaking girls and women's sport and all this BS, there's a problem, and I think that's what people get pissed off, but especially with LGBTQ, dude, a lot of the gay people that I know, they don't even like the LGBTQ. They're not even like,
Shouldn't. Yeah.
they're not even like represented by it because what the government did, they put all these individuals, a lot of like trans people and all these pedophiles, whatever, in the same group as gay people. And then these gay people are like, we can't relate to all these group. What are you doing? Like all these
Right.
drag queens and whatever they're doing, you know?
Yeah, taking it to an extreme.
Yeah.
And yeah, same. I've got lots of people who I totally respect in their professional life and everything else who happen to be gay, but it doesn't define them. And I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it. I don't know if you know Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, Shark Tank, Kevin
Yeah.
O'Leary, but
Yeah.
I'll give credit where credit's due because this is really stuck with me during the Devin Mulvaney thing and the Bud Light stuff. He says, most people that drink Bud Light simply don't want to be having that conversation about a transgender endorsement. They just want it.
You just
They
want to
just
drink
want
beer.
not to talk about that. And it's like,
Yeah.
thank you for marketing a product where it's not promoting transgenderism. Uh, and that's kind of the way I feel. It's like I really don't want to. I really don't want to have that conversation. Dealing with every product that I buy. Target they got hammered for that too, and on all this, go woke, go broke stuff. It's like
It's just so
it's not
stupid,
that
dude.
people are anti-trans. It's like I don't want to talk about that. I don't want my kids, in on a conversation about people's sex lives. It's not appropriate. And then they're pushing it in our schools to our little kids. And this whole thing, it's like, man, it's got to stop. So I agree with you.
But when you start thinking about why they do what they do, why are they pushing this sort of agenda? Think about trans. Think about like abortion. Think about like all these little values of like guys suck, free like women are better, and friggin' equality and all this BS. If you look at the root of every single message that is being promoting, at the end of the day, what they're trying to get rid of is the strong principle of having a strong family,
Right.
having kids, having a strong man
Bingo.
that provides and protects for the women, and you have a nourishing woman that it's completely different from an inside, and it's a great mother, protects the household, protects her partner, and all these different things. And they really want to get rid of that. Because, dude, if you destroy the family, you destroy society.
Right.
That's how you destroy society. You destroy the family and you destroy men. And trans people, like not having kids. Oh, women, hey, we don't need men. Like, did you watch the Snow White thing? I'm so glad people are just like actually waking up. Even with like Disney, because like they're like being so woke and promoting all this, putting black people, Latinos in your. Which, okay, that's sick. Don't get me wrong, but like when you're shoving down people's throat all these different agenda, and trans people and like what happened with like Buzz Lightyear and stuff, like the character, you know what I'm talking about. There
Yeah.
was like a gay couple and all these different things. I'm like, dude, don't mess with kids, dude. Just go back to your conservative values. Go back to what made you. Don't stop doing the thing that got you there. I always say that to my friends. I'm like, never stop doing the thing that got you there. And Disney is a perfect example of it. Because I don't know if you watched the movie. I haven't watched it, but I've been reading a bunch of
Yeah.
the comments of it for like Snow White. And the whole thing is like the dude comes, the prince saves the girl and all these different things. But they put a Latina on it. And the dude is not even like the superhero, kind of like the girl saves itself. Then you have like what's it called? The seven
Dwarfs.
dwarfs?
Seven dwarfs. Yeah.
They didn't even hire the kids with the guys that are short. How do you call that? How do you
Yeah. The little people.
little people? And they were all complaining. It's like, hey, we don't have a job anymore. Like, why didn't you hire us? But Disney, they were like, oh, we don't want to make you guys feel bad. So they then created this like fake, like weird character in the movie, kind of
I did, yeah.
like a cartoon type of thing. So anyway, they're having. I'm glad people don't like it, and there's a lot of resistance and opposition to it. When companies, brands, they push this agenda of minorities, women, feminism, which all at the end of the day, it just ruins family. It just ruins the core value of having a strong family. Men or women, we're different, but we're a team. And I think that's the agenda they're trying to push: less kids, less powerful men, less powerful women, and it just sucks, you know. But
Well, I mean, and thank you, Ben. I mean, you got the Real Christian Show, and these people hate real Christians. They hate our values.
literally,
They really do. They hate us. And people that don't believe that that's true just have not really experienced the reality of that statement. And I mean, it's coming out of Hollywood, and the tables are shifting, and people need to know. Yeah, they are grooming. They're grooming our kids. They worship a different God than you and I do, and
they do,
and
they
and
really
they,
do.
and they want something really destructive to our society, and it's like, wake up, people. This is not it's not new, and nothing new under the sun. This is the same plan that's been taking place for thousands of years with us, and we got to fight. And exactly what you said. They tried to like demasculate men, and that we shouldn't stand up, that we shouldn't be strong, that we shouldn't take care of our wives and our kids, um, and we should. And it makes for a happy life if you take on the responsibility of family. And I don't know, that's what it's all about. That's why they're always attacking it. So
Dude, I'm telling you, like you take strong men out of the equation in a society crumbles.
yeah,
And I always say this, like every single problem with society right now. Now I think we're getting better, but every single thing that's happening in the world, what it was happening a couple of years ago, like last year, 2024, every single issue that we face, I always blame men, and I want to explain why. Let's say you run a soccer team or like any sort of sports team, and your team is losing, who's taking responsibility for the performance of the team? The coach,
The coach. Yeah.
the guy who's the leader. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing in a business. If a business is not working, they're not performing, they're not making the revenue they want to make or taking care of their customers and clients, who's taking responsibility?
The CEO.
The
Yeah.
CEO, the leader.
Yeah.
Now, the CEO, the leader. Now, same thing in a family. Like, bring it back to like the smallest thing of society, which is a family. If a family is not working, if a family is not strong, if a family is not leading, if a family is not a strong family, who is responsible for it? The dude. You know why? Because we're different. You know, the role of the guy, the role of the man is to provide, to protect, to guide, and to lead his family. To be a man of God, to be a strong man, to be in shape, to make money, to love his people, to defend and give his life for his people, and whatever he has to do. And the problem is that we have a lot of men not doing that because society is being attacking men, and society is being making men weak. Society is being telling men like, "Hey, dude, you suck," and this feminist movement, which I think is the most retarded and stupidest thing in the world, because we are different. Now we have the same values, and yeah, our worth is the same thing, but we're different. Men and women, they're different. We're equal in value for sure, but we're completely different. We do different things. We think differently. We dress differently. We look different, and that's okay. It's okay to be different, but I truly believe it's men. And that's one of the reasons why I started the Real Christian Show, because I truly believe there's a lot of Christians that are freaking weak, that are freaking soft, that don't speak up, that they don't have a backbone to do freaking anything. And that's one of the reasons why the world is the way it is. And that's one of the reasons why the U.S. was heading almost to freaking hell and destruction last year. You know?
You take a weak man in a marriage, it distorts the woman's role because we want strong women. I mean, women are so amazingly strong, so capable. But if they have a weak husband, now they're trying to overcompensate on things. You get kids that are trying to explain the reasons why things aren't necessarily working out instead of just doing the right things and following
Yeah.
that course that leads to happiness. Pursue that course that leads to happiness. They spend all their time explaining why the world's not fair or why this happened, and you look at our society and it's like all grievances. It's like, oh, this happened to me and that wasn't fair. This happened to me and that wasn't fair. In the meantime, you find certain individuals, strong men, strong women, who are raising strong kids, and they just separate themselves from all of that noise of the world and say, you know what, in our family, we're going to teach kids to be honest, to work hard, to treat people with respect, and so much of that's the majority of America right there. That's out in the heartland. That's all those red areas that voted for Trump, and you get
Yeah.
that seedy blue areas that are misguided, and all they want to do is air their grievances and talk about all their problems, and yeah.
Yeah. You know, I posted this on Instagram the other day because a lot of people, they want to, oh, but it's not fair. It's not fair. And I posted this, even though you complain that life is not fair, you should be grateful because if it would be to be fair, you'd be hanging on a cross.
Yeah.
And
I
and
pray,
that's the
I
cool
pray
thing.
every night I don't get what I deserve. So
And yeah, if it would be fair, we would all be paying for all the mistakes that we've done.
yeah,
But hey, we have a God that sent his son to create this beautiful world that we live in, beautiful opportunities, and yeah, it could always be better. But in the reality is that we have it really good. We have it really good. And I truly believe people should start appreciating that, where we live, resources, our people around us, the financial opportunity that we get, freedoms of speech that we can disagree and you can say screw America or screw this, screw that, and you can do it. In our country, you would probably be killed or go to jail. You can do it here. So and it's a beautiful thing, dude. We live in the greatest country in the world, in my
so
opinion.
so I've been I get kind of obsessed with certain concepts, and I one of them was in John, where he says, in the beginning was the Word, and then the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. And I was listening to a podcast, they were talking about that. They said, oh, Jesus, he was the perfect combination, just enough grace and just enough truth. And it's like, no, he's full of both. He's full of,
Mm,
you can't have truth if you don't have grace. You can't have grace if you don't
yeah,
have truth. And to be full of both of those things is I mean, it's such a beautiful concept, and that's and we're expected to do the same. We're supposed to be like Jesus Christ. We're supposed to be full of grace and truth, and we find ourselves like, oh well, you're gonna have to let the truth go because you gotta show more grace, or vice versa. It's like, no, those they don't understand that full of grace and truth means you're full of both, and you treat people with love and respect and kindness, and you live, you just live the life that we're intended to live.
But Phil, even with that, dude, like take the LGBTQ stuff we just talked about, like Pride Month and all these different things of what they're shoving down our throats. There are a lot of men that they have no balls to speak that out loud, or to talk about that openly, or defend their truth, or like say what they think. And then they're like, yeah, but we gotta be passive, I want to be a peacemaker. Okay, let's look at Jesus. Let's look at what these men did. If there's somebody with extreme confidence that understood who he was, and that he did not give a crap to be standing alone and defend the truth, is that man right there. He was killed because he was defending what he believed in. He was killed because he did the right thing all the time. And he's a man that had no fear and that walked and spoke with confidence in every single opportunity. Yeah, he didn't start wars and went after people physically. And I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying just preach what you believe in and stand by the things you believe in and speak it unapologetic and boldly. Right. And yeah, at some point in life, you got to go and flip some tables at the temple, because people are disrespecting some things, and you got to get a little bit more aggressive in people's faces. But that's kind of like the exception. Kind of like what he did when all the freaking people were selling stuff at the temple. Yeah. But I think we, as Christians, we got to do a better job in like actually standing by our values and having a backbone.
Yeah. You've got to be capable of that. You got to be capable of anger and, action. And that's what I think Christ, he demonstrated that he was capable of that. But you're right. It wasn't his standard practice all day, every day. Although he was calling out the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Oh, he didn't care.
All day, every day,
He didn't care.
Yeah, he didn't care.
Literally.
And he said that I didn't come to bring peace, but a sword. And
yeah.
And for people that are trying to manipulate us by our faith into allowing them to groom our children, it's like, no, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, a good Christian man, a good man, period, is going to defend his.
It's not passive
children.
It's not a passive person. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Let's talk about some other stuff. So we got did you see the astronauts that were stranded in space, and after 9 months, Trump and Elon got it back?
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
It's sick. And then Trump, they asked him on, and in an interview, because I think it was NASA or something, or that they just told him that, hey, we're not going to pay you more money just because we're there for more than 9 months. Because the mission, it was supposed to last like a week and a half to 10 days, I think it was. But then Trump was like, well, I didn't know, but if I have to pay them out of pocket for my own money, I'll do it. Yeah. Which it was thick. And then the Biden administration, because I did a little of digging, they literally did not want to go rescue him because he was too risky, and they didn't want to do anything for it. So they were literally going to like just leave them in space, which is insane.
I don't know if you saw the meme. I think it was Babylon Bee put out a meme. Said federal judge orders astronauts back to the spaceship. Hey, we didn't authorize you to save these astronauts.
That's funny.
And so, but it's funny because it's so true. It's like every good thing that anyone tries to do, the federal court system jumps in.
Well, what's up with that? I don't understand the policy of it and who has power to do it. Because I saw the same thing when they deported a bunch of people from MS-13 and
they wanted to bring them back.
But I'm like, dude, how can you be so stupid? What are you doing? Like, all these guys are killers and drug dealers and in bands, and they sent them to El Salvador undercover because they knew that the courts were going to do something, these judges. And then they're like, you got to... Let's talk a little bit about policy and power, because that's something I don't understand. Who are those judges, first of all?
Well, the judge that made that ruling, his wife works for a big abortion organization.
But is that from the Supreme Court?
No, yeah, no, he's just a federal judge, federal district judge, which is like, how can a federal district judge make a ruling that
Okay,
binds the
explain to me,
president?
Phil, what's a federal district judge? Because I have no idea what that is.
So it's just below the Supreme Court, where you've got the United States divided up into districts, and you have all the federal judges who are appointed over their districts. So
How
like,
many?
or the circuits, or uh, California's the ninth, 10th. I go to the 10th. I don't know. I don't know how many circuits there are.
But so every state has a federal,
It's districts. Let me
federal districts judges. Federal district judges, also known as Article 3 judges, are appointed by the President, confirmed by the Senate, serving for life, and preside over the trial courts of federal court system, handling both civil and criminal cases. Okay, so how many?
looks like there's 12 districts, 12 circuits.
600. Wow, 677. Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. So maybe, yeah. So I'm not an attorney and I'm not in this world. So yeah, circuits versus districts.
So there's about 677 U.S. District Court judgeships. The number of federal district judges positions is set by the U.S. Congress in Title 28 of the U.S. Code, Section 133, which is authorized judges making changes and adjustments in this number. Okay. So what's their power? Like, what do they do?
Well, so I mean, and that's the question. This federal judge, I was just seeing if I could see something. So yeah, U.S. districts. So yeah, like you said, there's like 600 districts. Brian
677.
Murphy in Boston issued a nationwide temporary restraining order. So basically, a judge comes and says, "I'm going to make a ruling." And I mean, we have three branches of government, and the judicial has power, and the executive has power. So this is the judicial branch stepping in and saying, "Sorry, executive, you can't do what you want to do." But it's not the Supreme Court, and so that becomes basically just an obstruction to those people who are carrying out the orders, that they say, "Oh, Trump said to deport these people to El Salvador, but now a district court judge has said that it's against the law. So now if I do this, what's going to happen to me if I carry out this order? Is this district court going to come after me?" And the answer is yes, they will, because that's what they're trying to do. So it puts people just in this weird that are trying to obey orders. And
Yeah.
that's why Trump has to come out really strong. And
You can't bend. Yeah, you
you can't
cannot
bend
bend
in
it
this, and
now.
you've got to put those district court judges in their
Yeah.
place. And the same thing happens. The judicial. Sometimes they have to come in and say, because we don't want a dictator. We don't want a
No.
king. We want a president who is subject to the judicial branch. But all of these things are intended to keep people free, to preserve our liberty in the United States. And so if a state decides they're going to pass laws that infringe on people's rights, then you expect the federal government to come in and say, no, that's not going to happen. But what we have is the opposite of that. You have states saying, we want our citizens to be free, like in Florida or Texas, on the border, we're going to protect the borders. And the Biden administration comes in and sues those governors and attorney generals in Texas and Florida for just protecting the borders. So you've got this whole thing flipped on its head. And now you've got Trump saying, I'm going to protect the neighborhoods of these areas that are overrun with these gang members. And the federal judge is saying, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. It's like going after the pedophile rings, and a federal judge protecting the pedophile rings against the president's order. And it's a perversion. It's just nothing but a perversion, and that's where I guess you go through the due process, and that's this judge is just trying to obstruct and create problems. And his daughter is an attorney who represents the Tren de Aragua gangs and
Really.
illegal aliens in the United States. So
Well,
huge conflicts of interest, and it's just
the,
it's dumb.
you gotta follow why people do what they do, and 99.99% of the times it's related to money and interest.
Yeah, yep,
And I'm not surprised that I'm pretty sure that I was like, okay, there has to be something more with this judge that is protecting little criminals that are killing and hurting the American people. And now that you say that the daughter you said it was an attorney?
yeah, and that's her job is representing gang members and illegal aliens.
What the heck? That's a good business though. That's a lot. That's a great business to get into,
Oh yeah,
especially right now.
yeah. This is and yeah, Trump's a huge threat to that whole industry.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money. 'Cause a lot of people need a representation and attorneys in that regard right now. So that's fine. Um, Let me see what's another thing that I wanted to cover. Oh, how familiar are you with AOC?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around, the whole time she's been in Congress, and
You know that there's the poll that came out for the Democratic Party for 2028,
yeah.
and she's the leading Democrat nominee to be president in the United States for 2028. What's your take on it?
I mean that's the Democrat Party in a nutshell right now. They
That
have
girl
no
is
leadership.
crazy.
Yeah, they've gone off the edge, and you got Tim Walz coming out saying the reason we lost is because we weren't bold enough on DEI. We shouldn't have backed down. We shouldn't have backed away from that. And it's like, okay, you keep pushing that message. We should have done more drag shows for kindergartners, not less. We should have done, and that's where they're going. I mean, I think the
Yeah,
Democratic Party is. I think they're on the verge of extinction, honestly. And if we had fair elections, they would be extinct. They would have been ousted. But and we'll see. I mean, if the Republicans, occupied the high ground, that would be a really good thing. But we don't really occupy the high ground either as a party when it comes to fiscal things or social things. Definitely do have kind of this uniparty, and that's what I see growing in the middle of all this is the uniparty. So the Democrats are weak, the Republicans are strong right now, but in the middle of that is kind of this uniparty.
who do you think is going to run for president for 2020? I know it's like Trump just got elected, but who do you think is going to be a nominee for 2028, or who do you like it to be a nominee?
I mean, JD Vance, I'm hoping. You mean on the Republican side?
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope it's JD Vance against AOC. That would be a great.
you know
Yeah,
what? I like Vivek a lot too. I would love to see that
I
guy.
love Vivek too. Yeah, I was a big fan of his.
He's running for governor for Ohio, right?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like DeSantis. I
Yeah.
know. Oh yeah, during the conflict there, it was ugly. But DeSantis did. I mean, he came into a purple state and it was almost blue, Florida, and he turned it red just by his leadership. He's got a lot of leadership, and I'm always sad when I see like a spat come up and he says some things that are anti-Trump or anything like that. But yeah,
I watch all the presidential debates, and to be honest, I don't like DeSantis just because I think he can
I
bend
I
to pressure or stress, or he doesn't
because
have that backbone.
he's such a great governor, and that's why I like DeSantis as a governor.
But yeah,
Um,
he's done a great job in Florida, though. But I
he's
mean,
done a great job in Florida. I mean, Florida politics are, I mean, that's Laura Loomer comes out of Florida and run for Congress, and it's like, oh, in Florida we tell it how it is, and that wasn't the case back with Jeb Bush and company. But with DeSantis, Florida has kind of taken on this kind of like a Texas thing. Like, don't mess with Florida. We say it how it is. So
what's your take on? Because I saw the Andrew Tate went back to Florida,
oh,
and
did he?
DeSantis was going off on him.
Oh, I
He's
did
like,
see that.
we're gonna send you back, or like criminal, and then they asked Trump about it, and Trump was like, I don't know, like I'll look into it. I have no idea what's going on.
See, and I mean, Andrew Tate's another one of those characters that
Do you like him?
I love a person of action. I like a guy who speaks his mind, yeah, it's hard to say, that I support Andrew Tate because he's just a wild man and pretty immoral, and so I don't support that, from like a Christian standpoint. But the fact that he speaks, the fact that
He's a great communicator.
he really is, and
Yeah,
getting arrested, definitely a politically motivated imprisonment
fully.
that changes a person. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I like about when Andrew Tate speaks because it's bold, and I just love someone who speaks their mind, right or wrong.
Yeah.
If they're bold, there's a certain respect that comes from
I,
that.
I saw the interviews that he did a lot with what's this dude that the guy from England. I don't know if he's from England, but
Is it
ah
Pierce?
Pierce.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like sensitive topics like a while ago, like Palestine, Israel, and all these different things. And peers be like, "Dude, you gotta apologize." Like, and this dude was like, "No, I'm not gonna apologize because when I said it at the time, I meant it, and I don't care." And if people don't agree, cool. For me, I respect that. Somebody that's backs up what they believe in and do not. He doesn't care if you like him or not,
Yeah.
and it's unapologetic. And we have a lot of people right now that they'll apologize. Oh, you said this about this person. Okay, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I don't want to do. No, dude, we need men that don't care about people's feelings sometimes, and they're gonna be unapologetic about their opinions.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
I don't like people that lie to me, and you don't ever get the feeling that Andrew Tate's lying to you.
yeah,
What he says is what he thinks, and so many other people, they're telling you stuff, and it's like I can tell that they don't believe what they're saying, but they're still saying it because it's politically correct. That's what I love about Donald Trump. You never get the feeling that he's
he
saying
speaks his
something that he
mind.
doesn't believe. And JD Vance is the same. He doesn't say stuff that he doesn't believe.
Yeah,
And so you take somebody who says something that you disagree with, but you know that they believe what they're saying. There's something admirable about that. Even if it's dangerous and you have to like take a position against them, at least you know what you're taking a position against. Whereas so many people, it's like you don't know that, you don't know even where to start with them because nothing they say is truthful, and that's politics in a nutshell. I'm a big fan of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, these people, their two is not a real two, their four is not a real four. You don't have any place to plant your feet to even make an argument because they're so wishy-washy, and Andrew Tate's not wishy-washy, and so you can have an honest disagreement with Andrew Tate, and you could go to you could go all the way to the mat with it. He's not going to change how he feels, and I don't know. I love that. I love that.
I respect people that are willing to explain why they believe what they believe in. And I think a lot of people, if you actually have a conversation with them and you ask enough whys they believe what they believe in, they don't even know why they believe what they believe in.
I just finished reading a couple of books on the Salem witch trials, and it's amazing. I don't know if you've ever looked into that, but
The what?
this is a group of Puritans,
Oh,
all the same religion, all the same, and yet they start accusing others of witchcraft, and pretty soon they're hanging, old respectable women, and you look at that and you think the part that's really astonishing is that you could tell that the people even at that point knew that what was happening was wrong, but it was scary. It was kind of like mass hysteria, and all it took was a couple of brave people to stand up and say, "This is ridiculous. We have to stop." And when they did that at the peril of their life, because then they would get accused of witchcraft.
yeah.
But yeah, Sarah Cloyce, who happens to be a ancestor in my family tree.
Really? That's
So,
cool.
but she stood up and walked out of a church sermon because she just had enough, and her two sisters were both hanged, and
That's wild.
as witches, and you look at the dynamics that created that, and it's people who were afraid to tell how they felt, what they really thought about things, and the ones that did put a stop to that. They ended the tyranny. They stopped that whole thing in its tracks, and so agree with them or disagree with them, people that speak their mind and tell you the truth are valuable in our society.
I think from all this stuff that we've been talking about, dude, like even though it's politics, current events, what's happening with the world, I hope people can actually understand that the principle behind that we care about the most is just have a backbone and defend what you believe in, and ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe?
Right.
Do I believe this because somebody else told me, because I read it, because somebody influenced me that way, or I actually chose my beliefs? And if
100%.
you're able to back up and come up with arguments and experiences and personal stories and convictions, cool, to back up what you believe in. But also, it's like we need strong people that defend what they believe in and their values, and bring back strong women and men at the same time. Which I think if we can find a common denominator in everything we've been talking about, it goes back to that principle itself right there.
Yeah.
Um, Something else. I mean, how you doing with time? I know.
I'm good. I'm
Okay,
good.
you good? Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, did you see about what happened with the group chat leak about the bombs and from the JD Vance was there, and then the other guy that they leaked the information about the signal and group? Do you
I
watch
don't
it?
think so.
You know what I'm talking
And
about?
it's about bombs.
Let me, because I saw a little bit. I wanted to ask you if you knew about it. Signal group leaks. JD. They came out that the signal chat with It was Vance, the guy from who else was it? Let me put this in ChatGPT. They were just talking about. I think it was the when the U.S.
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
bombing.
They basically laid out their plan for. Yeah, I saw something about that. I didn't really dig into it. I'm looking it up too.
Yeah, so it was the a security breach against the United States government, encrypted messaging app signal. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz added Jeffrey Goldberg, which he's an oh yeah, here it is. He added Jeffrey Goldberg. He's an editor in chief of the Atlantic, and it was just for high level officials to discuss sensitive
Oh, I got
military
you.
operations. J.D. Vance was there, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Marco Rubio, and other senior figures. And they didn't see that Goldberg was in the group chat, and then that dude shared as the officials were sharing imminent the plans for the airstrikes against the how do you say Houthi
Houthi. I think it's a
Houthi
Houthi.
targets in Yemen, with the targets, weaponry, and attack sequences. And then these dudes just publish in the article, like he published everything. Goldberg said the government would verify that he published an article. Yeah, he published revealing the breach.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's telling how the media that becomes the big story of how incompetent the Trump administration is, or Vance or Hegeseth, and that's what they want to do. They always want to ridicule these people. So take something like this and they just turn it into a big story about like
I
to
wonder
embarrass them. So,
I wonder why Waltz added Goldberg to the group chat.
I'm telling you, there's so much dirty tricks that get played. That
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't actually him and it was somebody that got in his phone and like tried to
yeah,
like.
true.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
no, if you're into espionage, you would think of like, oh, well, double trick, double cross, whatever.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that actually happened and they use it to create a narrative or a story or something like that. I guess these
Well, that's
people.
we saw that with Trump in his first term. While all of the commotions going on over here, like pay no attention to what's happening in the other hand, and he would do stuff that was big. And this administration, I think, is going to be really filled with that. So
Yeah.
we think because we see a story that's like, oh, Trump didn't know this was happening, and it's probably true. But I think there's a lot of stuff that is for show. I tell people all the time, the only thing we know when it comes to dealing with the government, the only thing we know for sure is that we're being lied to, and uh, and
Yeah.
and who knows, in the FBI and the CIA, and that's why I think like the JFK files, like they're really important. It's
Oh, I
really
was gonna
important.
ask you about it. That's actually one of my
Oh
things.
yeah, but I mean, it's like why do we care about the JFK files? Is because we've been lied to for 60 years now,
Did
and
you ever like read a summary of it and part of it? Read
yeah, I've
some.
I've read as much as I can, kind of like digest on the summary on the surface level, um, and uh, and I don't know if there's any new revelations other than what we already knew, which was that the CIA
Knew about it.
was
They were
deeply
involved.
involved in that,
Yeah.
and I guess confirmation of that maybe it's beneficial. I think Oswald I think was a total fall scapegoat for that whole thing, but again, no surprise at
Well,
that
it's the same
level.
thing. It's probably the same thing what happened when they tried to kill Trump in Pennsylvania. Was it Pennsylvania, right? Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, that
Like all that stuff, like they knew
from
about
the minute you're watching that happen, it's like
it.
whatever I'm seeing here, there's like a lot more questions than answers, and so
I wonder who's the person behind the curtain that organizes all this stuff. Who are these people? That's the thing that I actually start to think about.
yeah,
And it's funny because all the stuff that we're dealing with in society, all the problems with government, countries and whatever, war and all this stuff, I can guarantee you that there's actually a couple hundred people that they're pushing an agenda that they want global ideologies to be pushed everywhere. They want to control people. They want to downsize population, and they want to keep power and money. And the world is literally run by a couple hundred people versus billions of people that just normal people
Oh,
like us.
100%. And I mean, and they'll tell you who they are. The Carnegie Institute. They've been at this for a long time. The
George Soros.
the Rothschilds, the Soros, the Tides Foundation. I mean, and again, I guess if you look and you say, if you created an organization that says we want to take over the world, how can we do this? Well, let's affect the banks. Let's take over and push all the money to one place. Then let's take over the universities, the colleges, the schools. Let's affect the attitudes about Christianity and religion, and then they go about it. And you can go back and you watch the Carnegie Institute, and what they've rolled out for you know probably 100 years, starting out with eugenics back before World War II, and all this stuff is real. You go on the Carnegie Institute, they apologize for their role in eugenics, which is pretty interesting.
I wanna read you something because I saw this and I forgot where I got it from, but there's an interview in 60 Minutes, and I think it's in 2000 and something. Because I'm looking it up, but there was George Soros that he did an interview with 60 Minutes, and he was literally basically saying um, that he looked himself like a god, and that he had control over these things, and that he knew that he can control people, and like it's just like this weird freaking mentality. And I'm not surprised why a lot of these guys that have a bunch of money that are freaking old, they're not even driven by money anymore. It literally comes down to a control thing. I'm gonna push whatever I think is right because they have this superiority complex in their mind. It's like same thing with the World Economic Forum. Same principle with all those guys, with Schwab and everything, that they're pushing this agenda because they think that what they believe in, it should be a rule for everybody. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I couldn't find the thing, but I'll probably find it later and talk about it. But yeah, all these people, I did. Those are when you look at the agendas, when you look at what's happening in the world, all these weird ideologies. Where do they come from? Who are these people that are influenced? It comes from these guys, 100%, 100 freaking %.
I mean, stuff that's coming out now. And I don't want to go off track on this, but the ritualistic sexual abuse of children it's kind of a new thing for me that I'm looking into. This is like, this is not like a perversion of a insatiable appetite. It's like a ritualistic covenant making, contract signing organization that involves the ritualistic abuse of children. And if you believe that's happening, which now you have to believe it's happening because it's coming out so prevalent, and in Utah as well, maybe even based in Utah to some extent. And you say, well, what are the promises? What are the covenants? What are the secret oaths that these people are making? And to what end? And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like control. We want to control these things. We want to control policy. And it's like, who participates in that? I don't know. But there are participants. We saw that, out of Box Elder County, that the judge and the fire chief that were colluding together for, pedophilia. And this gets really dark. But it's one of those things like, if it's the truth, I want to know it. If it's not the truth, I want to know that too. But like I say, I'm taking this kind of in a different direction, but there is an organizational element to this, which I guess you take it back to, a satanic worship.
Oh,
Again,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah, these people don't worship the same God that we worship. So if we can't get to that core, then we're always kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. Well, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's real, and it's organized, and they have an agenda, and and it's secret, and it's protected by, mass. I don't know what you want to call it, manipulation.
Well, but Phil, this is like scripture stuff. Like it is written that this is how
It
the
is.
world works. Like
Yeah.
something I love about the Book of Mormon is that it talks about this stuff of how fall, societies fell because of a handful of people that they had secret combinations that they started working in the dark, and that they started having all these secret things and groups and started controlling things from the inside and would go above the law, kind of like the deep state. Kind of like you have all these people here, and there's like a handful of people here controlling everything and power
Yeah.
and money and doing horrible things with. And kids is a huge part of it. You know, a lot of these people, they're just freaking pedophiles. They're it's just their intentions are from the devil.
Yeah.
You know, and they need to
Yeah.
be literally destroyed because they're cancer to society.
I never, I always, in my mind, it's like, well, there's nothing worse than pedophilia. But then when you learn about the ritualistic side of this, it's like, oh, that's worse because it just incorporates pedophilia into a much greater contract, and to say, now you're bound and you can prove your devotion to this group by participating in the abuse of sexual abuse of children.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I guess that is worse than just
Yeah.
what a minor attracted person. So
And it's funny
pedophilia is
'cause,
almost like a misnomer. It's like, no, this is far darker than being attracted to
you know,
children.
it is very rough. We live in a very dark world because I've done a lot of research, so I understand exactly what you're talking about. But a lot of people, they say that the ignorance is bliss. You know, and it's better not to know this stuff and what's happening with the world because a lot of it you can't even control it. But I think it's great to be aware. But there is this sense of, it's not just you living your life, go to work, make money, buy groceries, get married, have a family, chase your dreams. There's a lot that's happening behind closed doors, and that there's this agenda for globalist agenda, and there's people that are nasty, evil people that they're growing silently and secretly, and sadly, they have a lot of influence in
Yeah,
countries,
yeah.
politics, and everything.
Coming back to the Salem witch trials, you don't want to make false connections and say, oh, I can see, this is happening, and it all leads back to this one thing. But you also don't want to miss the reality of what some of those things are. And in this situation, you find really a big part of kind of the cultural breakdowns that we're seeing. A lot of it goes back to these contracts, these dark secret combination contracts. And again, if you brought up the Book of Mormon, it's like it is talked about there, and we're told that it's written for our day, and you read it, and we shouldn't be so unwilling to accept the fact that it's happening right here under our
And
noses.
and if people want to put some name to what we're talking about, like a group, my opinion, it's WEF, the World Economic Forum. I think that's where you can find a lot of these individuals. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the group and how
Oh
it works.
yeah, yeah.
But
Klaus Schwab and company.
let me give you guys some so people can be. A lot of people don't know about this group, but it's literally when we're talking about globalist agenda. People have a lot of money, power, and they want to control literally everything and have influence in countries, government, and companies. It was founded in 1971 by Klaus Schwab, and this is their mission: committed to improving the state of the world. It's a non-governmental organization, and they have their annual meeting in Davos in Switzerland. Davos is Switzerland, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
And who attends? Presidents, prime ministers, CEOs from major companies, activists, academics, journalists, some celebrities. And why is it controversial? I'm like pulling a bunch of stuff here. This dude wrote The Great Reset. Did you ever read that book, The Great
I
Reset?
did. Yeah, I have.
Oh, you read
Yeah,
it.
I've read it. Yeah, yeah. It's where it talks about the fourth industrial revolution, and Utah wants to be the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution. We've
Well,
come out and said it.
what's your take on The Great Reset?
I mean, it's Klaus Schwab's vision for world government, uh, and again, my purpose in reading through it was to see why is Utah the only other place in the United States where the United Nations comes to meet. Why do we have all these connections to the Carnegie Institute and the World Economic Forum, um, and why are we pushing 15-minute cities and then lying about it? When I say we, I mean Governor Cox. And yeah, it's just it's like we are so entrenched in all that stuff. And I agree with you. I think the World Economic Forum is pursuing an agenda that
They've
is
literally said openly that there's too many people in this world and that we should have
yeah,
less kids, and like they've
100%.
talked
Yeah,
about it openly.
That's like the least controversial thing they've said now, because now they get into like, yeah, we are going to control people's thoughts and brains and minds, and we are
They've
God.
literally said we're gonna take everything away from you, and you're gonna be happy.
Yeah, yeah, it's astonishing. It's really. I went to uh, I think it was NCSL in Salt Lake City, which is a big legislative conference, and everywhere I looked, they had the World Economic Forum's logo on all this stuff, and I was like, why do you guys have this?
Really
Why do you have this logo, with all the colored,
interesting.
and they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know why we're using that. And I really think that's true. I think most of the organizers didn't know why, but somebody knew, and they were trying to introduce all of this stuff into the at the legislative level, state legislator level. But you see the same thing happening at county commissioners, at city councils, at local school boards, like this real effort to bring the information and the indoctrination to people at the very local level. And
You
yeah,
know
it's
when
so organized.
you know when the Great Reset, the book came out?
Like 85 or something. I'm not sure.
June of 2020.
2020.
And you know what happened in 2020?
COVID.
COVID happened. This is interesting. Look, the Great Reset is an initiative launched by the World Economic Forum in June 2020 in response to COVID-19 pandemic. It aims to reshape economies and societies to be more sustainable, equitable, and resilient. It says, what is the Great Reset? It's not just a single policy or law, it's more of a vision, a framework. The WEF, World Economic Forum, proposed that instead of just going back to normal after the pandemic, the world should reset its systems in three main areas: economic reform, reshape capitalism to more inclusive and sustainable, shift focus from short term profits to long term value, and like environmental health and all this different stuff. Then they talk about environmental sustainability, build green infrastructure and transition to clean energy, and invest in climate friendly technologies and industries. And then the third point that they talk about is societal equity. Equity, equality, how do you pronounce it? Equity, like equal rights, opportunity, and all these different
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Close wealth gaps and promote equal opportunity and redesign social contracts, access to healthcare, education, worker protections, meaning socialism. That's the thing. And here it says, why did it go viral? Well, while the WEF cited as a call for global cooperation and rebuilding, critics and conspiracy theories paint it as a plan for global control by the elites, which it really is. That's what it is. Enforced socialism or capitalism reset and taking away personal freedoms for property. But they said in in 2016, you will own nothing and be happy. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then we ask ourselves, where all these agendas and things coming from? That people right there. You know
It's
what they should do?
interesting.
They should just put a Trump should
Yeah.
see where these guys are located and press a button and just a missile go and boom, freaking blow everybody. That would be
So
sick.
1971, Nixon, and there's so much that happened in 71. I did a little presentation just from my own observation. We went off the gold standard in 1971, the Bretton Woods conference that was held, and also in 1971, Greenpeace was formed, the big environmentalist group, and really the whole religion of environmentalism was kind of launched in 1971. And so it's interesting that that's when World Economic Forum was
Started.
founded. So shortly after I did my presentation, I went to a big national thing. This guy gets up and he does a whole presentation on 1971, and he had so much more than I had. I need to go back and kind of summarize that, but yeah, 71. We went from we really turned into a socialist country in
Yep.
1971. I would say people say, well, look at capitalism, it doesn't work. It's like, oh, we don't have capitalism in the United States, we've had socialism, really, and it's been growing and growing, and since 1971, going off the gold standard and taking away so much. And then all of these, the other thing that was passed was the Equal Access to Justice Act. I think that was in like 1980 or something, so a little bit later. But the Equal Access to Justice just was the piggy bank for all of these environmental groups to come in and basically take over the whole administration of all of our public lands, all of our resources.
Dude, there's this thing. I forgot where I saw it. I was trying to look it up, but it was a graph. This dude was explaining why the environmental movement and all this BS, green energies, is literally communism in disguise. and he gives like a whole graph of like dates specifically of who controls this, whose agenda is this, who owns his stuff, when it got started, and everything. Is like this whole graph, and then you start realizing that all this green energy, sustainable energy, equality, and all these different things, it's literally socialism in disguise. And I don't know where I read it, dude, but it was like the timing of each year when it got started is like perfect, and it gives you this whole chronology. How do you say it?
Chronology, yeah.
Chronology
Hmm.
of events. And anyway, it just I'm not surprised that it goes back to the WF organization. So it's crazy. It's insane how they're trying to hijack.
So after the 2020 election, I did a deep dive on this and found a lot of other people that were really looking into the why are our elections being so corrupted. We don't have the election that we see is very different than the results that come out. We have two very different systems, and people are finally waking up to the fact that yeah, our election system is messed up. But all these same players, the World Economic Forum, that drive all of that, whether it's the Carnegie Institute, the Rockefeller, the Tides Foundation, the Democracy Now! Fund, all these things have taken over our election system as well.
Yeah,
And we wouldn't elect people to Congress that are doing the type of stuff that's being done to us. And the truth is, we don't elect people like that in our governor's races. I just went through the governor's race, and I can show statistically that the election, that there's impossibility of statistical outcomes in that election, but you can't look at the underlying information. You get into like, well, who makes these computers that we use, the ES&S systems, the Dominion systems, the Smartmatic software, and it's like all of it goes back to the same people. It all goes back to the same, like you say, the same 180 people that are controlling everything in this.
I'll go dive even more, and so people can do some research.
Yeah.
Look up the most known companies in the world, and type in who owns the most, who are the top 2 or top 3 shareholders, and you're gonna find the same companies and everything. Vanguard, BlackRock, and what's the other one?
State Street.
State Street. But Vanguard and BlackRock, they're the biggest ones, and they literally own everything. They're the top shareholders in every single thing. And then you track who in the WF, who funds these people, and all these different things, the people that participate, and they're all freaking connected. And then you ask yourself, who's pushing all these agendas and all these companies? Well, who's giving them the money? When I saw the whole thing with Target, I imagined like, okay, Target would be so stupid to put all these things, and this happened like a while ago, but this whole LGBTQ thing, pride thing that they started putting in like in the beginning of the shelves and whatnot, and there was like a huge backlash. And obviously, as a marketing perspective and as a marketing standpoint, that makes no sense because you're appealing to less than 1% of your customers. And then 99% of your customers are going to be pissed. And then you lose revenue. But then you think, okay, if I'm the CEO or I'm the chief marketing officer at freaking Target, why would I make such a dumb decision? But I think it's go even beyond than that. If I work at Target and I have the company that's funding me, the company that owns most of the shares in our company, and they tell me, hey, dude, you better pass this agenda and do this because if you don't, we're not going to give you money. So then you start realizing that a lot of the companies is not even the company promoting these values or that they even have a choice, but is that if they don't do this stuff, they're not going to receive the funding or the money or whatever. The top shareholders are going to be pissed, and then the worth of the company is going to go down. So then you realize that there's a whole agenda because these people control everything. What?
Yeah.
How long will you be here?
I'm gonna like an hour. Go upstairs. I'm gonna be here for like an hour. I'm in a meeting. Go. Sorry, my knees was.
That's awesome. That's great.
So it's just crazy. It's just crazy when you realize who's backing and funding all these big tech companies, cars, clothing, and groceries, and all this different stuff, and why things are the way they are. If you follow the money, you're gonna find out who's responsible for everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a form of piracy. It's like tell people if you understand, if we're talking about like the legislature, at the national level or even the state level, once you understand that there are pirates who are trying to run this whole program and a system of plunder, and then you start to recognize, oh well, then it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
The friendships that are made, the deals that are made, and then with Spencer Cox, you look at the political campaign contributions that come in, and then all the money that flows out to them, not through the legislature, but through the executive branch during a state of emergency like COVID, and literally billions of dollars flowing under the guise of an emergency to the same people that are putting the money into this place. And I mean, you look at, National Congress, people go in there with a net worth of 300,000, and 7 years they come out with, worth $20 million.
Dude, I might run for office at some point. I want to make some money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go to work there. You'll never have to work another day in your life.
I'm just waiting for you to get elected governor, dude, so we can do some business together.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, guys. This is a joke.
It's racketeering.
We're not
Honestly, what we're looking at is racketeering, and we should call it what it is. I've been trying to message to Pam Bondi, please look at Utah. Please look at our financial contributions that are driving these things. Look at our elections. Look at these things. I put this out on Twitter or on X the other day. I asked X, so not shifting gears here, but it's related, and it comes back. It's personal to me, but it's the primary election, the governor's race in the primary election. And at 9:00 that night, he was up by 50,000 votes. And then he ended the election up by less than 38,000. And it's 37,900. And I said, what's the statistical likelihood of a candidate with a 50,000 vote lead and 63% of the votes counted, ending with a 37,000 vote lead? And it says that it's effectively zero, less than 1 in a billion. That statistically that would happen. So it would take a huge shift in preference and a few things like that, which maybe it's not 1 in a billion, but it's effectively zero. It's a 0% chance that a person goes. And that by itself is just a statistic, but it should spawn some investigation, some questions like, wait a second, if you have a statistical impossibility that happens in the primary race in Utah, maybe we should look into that. So they look in, they find out, not only that, Spencer Cox lost in the convention. He didn't get his signatures. He knew he didn't have his signatures a year ago, last March, did nothing about it because he thought he was impervious to the law. And then he comes out and says, well, but I won the primary. It's like, well, did you? Because you won't let anybody look at the records. And it's different than when Biden cheats in an election because he's not over the election. In Utah, Cox and the lieutenant governor are over the election. So they print the ballots. They put themselves on. They force all of this stuff. It's like the biggest travesty of elections that could be imagined because they are in charge of it. They're not just like colluding with somebody. It's like, no, they're doing this themselves. And not that I expect, that the legislature is going to step up and impeach or do anything like that. But it all ties back to the same idea of how do we get ourselves into these horrible policy places when we're a government by and for the people and we elect people to make these decisions. And the truth is the individuals that we're talking about, with the World Economic Forum, they've taken that away from us as well. We don't really have an election.
Well, Phil, even if you think about it, I think it comes down to the individual level. Like I talked to a lot of people here in Utah and people are more worried about like who's going to be the next president instead of who's going to be the next governor of Utah, which I get it. Because it's like more world issues like war, Ukraine, understand inflation, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, like for example, here in Utah, we're affected probably way more by who's our governor, by versus who's the president. And that's the cool thing about America is that each state, it's kind of like its unique country. Yeah. And I think it comes down to an awareness level. It comes down to a lot of people not getting involved, and it comes down to a cultural thing. A lot of people here don't care. A lot of people here, they have money. A lot of people like they have it really good. And they get comfortable, and they're like, "Oh, it's never gonna happen to me until it happens."
Yeah,
and that's the problem. Because, dude, I agree. I mean, when I look at a marketing perspective, when I look at like social media, when I look at like influence, when I look at like even the people that I talk to, the platform and everything, you were leading in every single way. Like every single person that I talked to, every single person that I communicated with, every single thing that I saw, when it comes to from a branding perspective, you were dominated. And you were dominating in everything. Now on the flip side, a lot of people here, they don't get involved, and that sucks. But dude, like I don't know Spencer Cox, so I would love. Actually, I reached out to him. I would love to do a podcast with you guys and get him to like get together. I think that would be phenomenal. And
it would be a phenomenal. Yeah, I'd love to have an honest discussion. People criticize me for doing an ad with Brian King because he's a Democrat. It's no problem if Spencer Cox does a bunch of ads, but I said, I've never been lied to by Brian King, and I don't feel like I've ever been told the truth by Spencer Cox. So
I'm gonna reach out to him again because I texted his team and sent him an email, and I would love to be just the middleman and just to be neutral. Play the devil's advocate
it would be awesome.
and
It'd
and,
be
and be
awesome
able
if
to
you did
just
that.
have a conversation.
People in Utah would definitely tune in. They would listen.
I'm gonna put it on my to-do list. I'm gonna a little bit. I'll go a little bit harder on it because I just I like debates and I like to see people's different perspective, and I know that at the end of the day, the truth is we have one side, we have the other side, and for me the truth is always gonna be in the middle.
Yeah,
You know,
you find out something.
I'm gonna put it here. So, what's the best way to write? Do you know anybody from their team?
Spencer Cox's team.
Yeah, pretty sure you guys know someone. You know someone there.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the legislature. I'm pretty connected with.
Let's talk about it later when we'll finish this show, and I would love to facilitate the platform. Maybe we can do it online or could be in person. I don't know. I don't know if how open he would be. Maybe I would have to do like a one-on-one meet with him first, so he can actually trust me and realize that I just want to have an honest conversation and give people.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That would be awesome if you could pull that off. That would be.
Do you think in person or online would be best? I don't want you guys to get in a fight and start fighting. I would probably stop because. I'm kidding.
Yeah, either one. I don't know that it would.
I think online would be good. It's more.
Online would be great. Probably a little less confrontational. Or maybe even.
Let me see if I have control here.
I don't know.
I don't know if I can mute people here. So. Oh yeah, I can mute you. Okay, that's it. I can do stuff. I can have
totally dominate. Yeah.
If it gets like, dude, chill out, bro, like or something like that. I think we get. We're gonna talk after the show some logistics, and I want to ask you some questions about it. But, well, dude, it's been we've covered almost everything I've gone.
I know it's amazing how fast the time goes, but
Literally, it's never
I really appreciate you doing what you do. I think it's
fun. I think it's really fun, and I think people are liking this format, especially these conversations, because you're very knowledgeable in policy, your perspective, and it's kind of like a combo of like somebody smart and then somebody just normal and ordinary as me, just giving his raw opinion. So it's kind of like perfect combo. And high IQ guy and then low IQ, like
hardly other way around, but.
No, but I appreciate your time, Phil. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add before we wrap it up. Any comments or any just advice of life or whatever you want to mention before we finish it?
I guess the only thing I mean, lots of stuff that I could say, but people need to understand, that like the Declaration of Independence said, that we have unalienable rights by virtue of our birth, and they didn't come from government. Government didn't give us that right, to express ourselves. It's our right, and governments are supposed to respect it, and that's what the United States government, the Republican form of government, was designed to protect. To make sure that those blessings of liberty exist for us and our kids, and so we talk about those things, and it's really important. It is very much a Christian value. It's very much a take responsibility for your life and try to make things better. So thanks for what you do. Yeah, the Real Christian Show. I love it.
I appreciate you, brother. I was gonna say something I totally forgot, but because I was paying attention to what you're saying. No, but I think it's good. I mean, doing it like once a month. Probably I'm gonna spend more time doing it. I'm moving to St. George now in
nice.
a week and a half. So I'm actually very excited, dude. I'm like so hyped to go down there. I love that place. I truly feel that's my next assignment. I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm here in northern Utah for the past 4 years, and God wants me down there now.
Yeah, you're supposed to move down there in October, not in April. It's just going to get really hot now.
Wait. Oh, because it's not. Yeah. Well, I'm moving in a week and a half, April 10th. I'm excited.
No, I'm St. George.
I'm going with one of my best friends from Texas. So
I love the area, but I love the people of St. George. I love I love the they're like honest, you know,
It's a good spot.
patriots.
I
Really
still
are.
don't know what's down there for me. I just feel that God wants me down there, and for me, that's enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I'm
love
excited for it.
patriots.
But anyways,
Okay.
guys, if you like the show, if you got some good value from it, some good insights and perspective, share it with your friends, guys. Put it on Instagram stories, on your TikTok, YouTube, whatever the heck you want to do. Tag Phil and myself. And Phil, again, I appreciate you, bro. Stay for like a couple minutes before we finish. I
Okay.
want
All
to
right.
talk to you
Thanks,
something.
Ben.
Anyway, take care, guys. See ya. Bye bye.